Hey everyone, welcome to episode 450 from Pro Engineering. I had different plans for this episode, but just due to the fact that the house is under construction right now and everything's boxed up, I was a little stuck. So something that people have often asked me questions about were these little tiny Tamiya buggies. Now I have a couple variations of these. I have significantly smaller ones that I got out of a little egg when I was in Korea. And then these here are significantly different because they're a bit larger with a insane amount of detail. These were made by a company called San S for Tamiya, and it was part of the Tamiya RC Buggy collection. This is not all of them. I think there were a total of 15 or 16. I'll have a couple images up later. These are all the variations though. They had the Rough Rider, they had the Hornet, the Grasshopper, and the Frog. There were some other color variations. For example, you can see with the Hornet, there is a black one, a blue one, and a clear one. Same is true for the Grasshopper. There was a green one and a clear one, as well as the white one. With the Frog, there was also a clear one, as well as the standard pink with the gray chassis. And then, interestingly enough, there was one that had the green with the red chassis, which the Frog never came with unless you had a Blackfoot. You could swap it out. Interesting little variation there. Avante and Rough Rider were quite the same. And there was a 16th one that, was kind of shown as grayed out. It was a surprise. I suspect it was one of these in a different color variation. So we can see there's a few differences here. This Hornet has had its decals applied. They came with these little bases here, but no cover. It was just the base. And then here is the decal sheet. So looks just like the real Hornet decal sheet. I've got the other ones for the other cars, but some of them I put the decals on, some I didn't. I just kind of like the variation. These came, I think this is molded clear and then it's painted. The details on this, like the little silver pipes for the roll bar, are insanely detailed. Here's the crazy thing. As neat as these things look the way they are, this is nothing. Check this out. So I'll start with the Grasshopper. The Grasshopper body comes off, believe it or not, and I'm going to do this carefully because the chassis comes off in two pieces also. See if I can just pull the body. Oh, I grabbed too much, hang on. So we'll pretend that didn't happen. Looking at the body, I mean, it looks like, look at that little driver, right? It looks like a tiny version of the Tamiya Grasshopper. Beautiful details. The decals have been on this car since 07 when I got these. That was when I believe they came out, 06 or 07. These were like $5 each on eBay. Now, yeah, they're impossible to find and they will require the selling of a kidney in order to pick one of these up. Looking at the chassis, those of you familiar with the Tamiya Hornet or the Grasshopper can see their servo. There is your MSC servo. Anybody tell what the little pack is at the rear? Okay, anybody new to the hobby? This is a 6-volt 4AA battery pack which powered the servos. There's your mechanical speed control, and jammed in right underneath there would be your receiver. Little motor here at the rear, your shocks. Now I pulled the Grasshopper apart. These are the correct rear shocks for the Grasshopper. I suspect the Hornet's gonna have the same ones, which are incorrect, but whatever. At this size, correct tires. Now that's not it. Though the battery door doesn't come off, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a battery. So the chassis comes apart and you actually have the original, this was the 5-cell Tamiya square battery pack with the little decal. Can you see that? In fact, if we flip it over, you can see that it is in fact stamped with Tamiya on the bottom. So this was a Tamiya licensed product. Again, it wasn't Tamiya that made it, but it was made for them. So let's next jump onto the Hornet. Okay, we'll move the Grasshoppers out of the way and take a look at the Hornet. In fact, we'll start with the clear Hornet. Now, even though the Hornet did come with a polycarbonate body, that had no bearing on these models. Again, you were able to get a Grasshopper with a clear body for these 1/6 scale models. We'll pull the shell off. Chassis likes to come with it. Here we go, be very careful. Holy crap. It just occurred to me Oh my God, did you? I think I do remember seeing this. Holy cow. Okay, I said a moment ago when I was looking at the Grasshopper that it's likely the shock mounting would be the same for the Grasshopper and the Hornet, but I was wrong. Check this out. To anybody that's not familiar with the Grasshopper transmission pivoted about this point here, okay? And the rear had these friction shocks. That if I can get it aligned properly before I break anything, we don't want to do that now. The shocks stuck in here on the back of the chassis. Well, for the Hornet, there was an auxiliary part because the Hornet transmission pivoted. Oh my God, that's the slider. Does the Grasshopper have that? Holy cow, no, look. There's the pivot point on the Grasshopper and there's the slider on the Hornet. That is insane detail. And you can tell here that at the top, there's an extra part. On the Grasshopper, the shock went straight into that, and on the Hornet, it doesn't. In fact, down here at the back, you can see that they actually splay out further. And there's a kind of a more unique little mounting area right here. That's just wicked. Wow, even in here, it's different. In this case here, they've effectively got the battery eliminator circuit involved where you could run the servos both off of the main pack. There's your mechanical speed control, receiver, and this black thing here is representing the top of the Tamiya hump battery pack. That was the 7.2 volt pack. And there it is. That's insane. I've had these for years. I'm sure I've noticed that in the past, but it's been a while since I've taken them apart. Okay, there is our Hornet. Am I forgetting anything else? You do have the different knobby back tires. Got the driver in there as well. Let's get the Frog. Okay, we'll start with this one over here. These two should be identical. Yeah, no difference. Okay, so what we have here, standard Tamiya Frog. Let's look at the body first. Okay, again, looks just like a frog body. The white, pink, and the black are all painted. Okay, looking back at the car, correct frog shocks, the aluminum body with the ribs in them. Front suspension is spot on. It's obviously not operational. You just have this bar that goes through there. Mechanical speed control. This would be the servo for the MSC. There's a little rod you can kind of see right there. The steering servo. I'm not seeing the receiver, which would probably go up here in most cases. Your motor. And it's cool. This little flat is representing the heat sinks. On the Grasshopper, yeah, you've got the little representation of the heatsink back there too. Super cool. In this case here, we have the shrink-wrapped 7.2 volt battery pack. I am nearly positive that you can get that out. Terrified to mess with it too much. Is this open? No. This battery seems to be molded in here. And if it isn't, I am not going to risk damaging it. Before I put the body back on, let's take a look at the red variation. Again, to my knowledge, the Frog did not come with this red chassis. This was unique to the Blackfoot, Monster Beetle, and the Mud Blaster. Of course, since then, there's been variations like the King Blackfoot, which is dark gray. I think the new Monster Beetle has a black one, and the Bush Devil that had the blue one, of course, all the chrome ones as well. Anyway, this one's identical, just red. I think it's a really great color combination, especially with the green body right there. And of course, you can switch them all out. To the Rough Rider, I think they call it the Buggy Champ now. Got the 4 spotlights, which look phenomenal. Body comes right off. We'll just wiggle it gently. Gently, okay? Check that out. I believe on the originals, these were clear as well. I can't recall if they were on the newer ones. I feel like they were. Sorry, this just popped out of there. Well, just to show you, this one does come apart. So you've got this little, this is for the front trailing arms. Push that back into place. All right, you can go in. There it goes, okay. The driver sitting on top of the battery enclosure. Lift that up. There's our little battery. I didn't take it out of the other 2 cars, but the battery does come out. Giant fingers. You can just look how big, I mean, just look how small everything is. Compared to my thumb is big, FYI. We'll just leave it in there. And then here at the rear, look at the detail on the entire gearbox. So there is obviously no suspension, correct rear tires. Same with the Frog. Okay, we'll push that right back on. Look, even the little simulated accordion in there for the servo. There was no electronics in here, is there? At the bottom, the fiberglass plate there with the aluminum stiffener. I mean, even the screw heads. I mean, that's just wicked. The little hole in the back for the antenna. This was available in red as well as clear. Not really that big of a fan of the SRB cars, especially this one here, but I wanted to have at least one. And then moving on to the Avante. Beautiful, beautiful representation. I didn't put the decals on simply because I just loved how it looked all bare like this. Shocks look incredible. I suspect that an excellent modeler could come in here and do a wash and add all manner of details. I would be too afraid. So you have your 7.2 volt pack. Is that molded? I doubt this is molded in. There would be, no, it's not. Okay, there would be sync in the plastic and there isn't there. Okay, so there's that. You got the correct, those cool old ribbed Tamiya motors right there. That is just awesome. Trailing arms are nicely detailed in there. You've got your, I think that was the spot for the receiver, probably, maybe. Now, does this come apart? No. So these are heat staked at the back. That's the whole tower. Does this come off at all? It feels like the oh, it does. It slides out. Okay, cool. The driver looks exactly like the original driver. Oh, you've got the Tamiya CPR unit. Nice. So that's not a receiver. For those of you who don't know, I've actually got a video on the CPR. It's a receiver speed control combination. You almost feel like the little lock mechanism almost works on this. The body will just slide in here. Let's give you some size comparisons. So these are classified as a 1/6 scale vehicle. I know what you're thinking, they're tiny, but remember that they are scaled from the original. So this little car here is a 1/6 the size of the 1/10 scale Hornet, which technically means in the model, world, this would be a 1/60th scale. But as this is a representation of the Tamiya Hornet, it's just 1/6. To give you a size, okay, so this is 1/6, and here is your standard Hot Wheels. They would look pretty darn good together on the shelf, right? Just about the same size. Now, this is roughly, right, 1/64th. It's more of that form factor versus the actual scale of a Hot Wheels or Matchbox or Majorette or Johnny Lightning, etc. But there you go, about yay big. I happen to have this that I've had since I was a kid, and I always felt maybe I should make a sand scorcher out of this because that would fit just beautifully. And for those of you who want to know, this is, what in the hell? MC Toy? I have no idea. Had it for a million years. So this is a 1/24th scale. So it's just kind of a little bug there. And then a rough comparison to a 1/18 scale car. It's, it's little, right? It's Hot Wheel size. What you probably want to see is this thing compared to a Hornet. Well, my friends, we all want things in life, and unfortunately, this is something I can't help you with. I don't have any Hornets on me, so Superfly is going to go ahead and stand in. All right. This is one of the rare times it just occurred to me that we can actually measure to see if this is really 1/6 of this. So we're looking at having 6 Hornets to equal the length. Now, I don't have 6 Hornets, but we're pretty close. 2 Hornets. I'm going to measure from the bumper. Right about there. 2 Hornet. Close enough to a Hornet. Ooh, another Hornet. Nearly a Hornet. Pretty much a Hornet if you close your eyes. Wow. Yeah, it's about 1/6 scale. How cool is that? My friends, thank you all so much for joining me on episode 450. Again, I do apologize for the particular quality of this video. I'm just not currently set up the way I used to be, but we'll be back at the old house soon enough, and then we can go back to our old video style. So I hope this is a nice holdover. Again, my friends, these cars are long gone. If you want to find some, you're gonna have to search eBay. My apologies, as I know that's kind of a mean way to to tease everybody here, but I still thought they'd be interesting to look at. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.